Hello, and welcome back to the Pez and Pork Show. Of course, Pork Belly Front, and then we also have Johnny in the booth back there producing the show, and of course, Dr. Pez here. And Dr. Pez, welcome, sir.
You all right, mate?
I'm doing okay. I got plenty of rest today because I did not stay up and watch the football games. I was given an offensive dynamite show in one half, and it was enough for me.
Yeah, I sat up and watched most of them. I did fall asleep in the 9 o'clock games towards the
Yeah,
end of them, so I had to catch up on them. But I've got a co-host with me today. My son's off school sick, so if anyone hears any background noise,
no
that's coming
worries.
from him. I'll try my best to keep him quiet.
Yeah, it seems like
Expert advice.
not only did the Cowboys get beat up, but my fantasy teams got beat up like you would not believe, Dr. Pez. I need some expert advice. I need to spend some time on the couch.
No need to
Let's
stress.
I don't know, mate.
We
I'm
have the
not-
couch for you with
Second
Dr.
here. I am
Pez.
ready for some advice. Excellent. Dr.
Before we
Pez,
start,
I'm
I'm
feeling a
just gonna
bit
go.
ill. Tell me.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Before we start, I'm just going to say that I can't remember who I'm playing in Orkney because it disgusted me that much. But he got 260 points, and he literally is like that kid bully at school who just came up to me, pushed me off my chair, chucked my drink on me, took my lunch money, and walked off laughing because there's nothing I could do. It was disgusting. I've not looked at it. I knew I wasn't going to catch him. He literally had every player that went off. I don't think he didn't have a player over 20 points. It was ridiculous.
Oh my.
But anyway, let's all listen to my advice.
Yeah, I think this is the worst week I have ever had in fantasy football. I think I've had like maybe 3 or 4 teams that will win out of the 20 or 25 I do have.
Well,
Sickening.
a lot of your banker names really just didn't show up, did they? Like Cooper Cup ending in a walking boot, Pacheco on crutches.
Tyreek Hill was nothing.
Yeah, like really, it's Achan, and like people are still like you could say J.K. Dobbins, but obviously everyone's wary of his injuriness. But that's 2 20-plus point games now, and even though he still looks like he runs like a robot, he's still getting the job done. So,
and then Jordan
as the season progresses and he gets looser, whoever's got J.K. Dobbins or who took the bet on him at the start of the season over Gus Edwards, I think might reap the rewards of that as the season goes on.
Oh yeah, looks like it. San Diego's looking for a real. They might be able to challenge the Chiefs. How does Pacheco's injury affect the outlook in your mind for the Kansas City Chiefs running back you'd prefer?
Well, it doesn't look great when they're a rookie that Steele, who everyone banged on about in preseason, he fumbled the ball as well last night. That's not great. Leonard Fournette. Leonard Fournette's out there.
Yeah, and Hilaire is on the physical unable to perform list, so he can't come back anytime soon, right? He has another 2 weeks out.
I think they're going to have to. I think they're probably going to have to go and search free agency.
Yeah, maybe I think so.
Poach a practice squad or something like that.
Yeah, doesn't seem.
There's running backs out there.
On the practice squad, right? Maybe we'll see a Gore sighting in Kansas City. That'd be all
right. Maybe. They'll just have to start like doing some crazy stuff with Xavier Worthy on jet sweeps and like get some production that way. Maybe use Rashee Rice like a Deebo Samuel type.
Yeah, that could definitely hurt the Chiefs. And also, you got to look at the Rams when their top two wide receivers are now possibly down and out for an extended number of weeks. People betting on the Rams this year, not looking too good. Who's the next wide receiver up?
I think they'll still get it done. I think they'll find someone. Sean McVay always does, but it's not looking great for them, is it? It's looking very bleak. And as a Seahawks fan, can't do nothing but smile. Love it. Love to see it.
I do have Puka and Kyrene on several teams, so I'm hurting a little bit there.
Well, all it's going to do is just going to put more pressure on Kyren, and inevitably probably pick up injuries. They're going to have to, because I didn't look at the stat sheet for the players, but did Blake Corum get any touches yesterday?
I did not notice. I'm still trying to play catch up. I literally fell asleep at halftime. The Cowboys game was an awesome offensive spotlight put on their show.
Oh, yeah, he did. He got 8 attempts for 28 yards. I think all it means is, depending what's up with Cup, I think a good sleeper pickup is that Whittington. People spoke highly of him in pre-season, the rookie.
Right.
He's going to get thrust into like more of a role and stuff. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens with Cup.
And before we get into the impressive rookies that I would like to talk about, one name I would like to mention is Quentin Johnston. He's available, in several of my leagues still. And he went off. Is this something that you can see happening week in, week out? And we should pick him up? Or it's like Quentin Johnston? What are you thinking? It's a 1 week outlier.
Depending what your league is. So week 1, I watched the majority of that game, and what they did with him in the off-season, what I read was they put him into the slot. Because if you remember last year, a lot of his, I don't watch Chargers games, fully. But on Red Zone, anything that was highlighted of him it was deep balls. In college, he struggled with the deep ball as well, with drops. That was one of his big flags. Is he just seems to struggle when he's on the outside as the vertical guy, even though all his attributes say he should be an amazing vertical guy. So what I noticed the report they said was they moved him into the slot. Week 1, he looked really good in the slot. That short to intermediate seems to suit him. I only saw his first touchdown, but that first touchdown was in that short to intermediate range. I think they've really unlocked how to use him. You got Joshua Palmer-McConkey, who can just work the outside, keep Quentin Johnston on the inside in the slot, and I definitely think, because that's 2 weeks in a row now where I've been impressed with what he's been able to do. He is no slouch. He just struggles with his hands. And it is a fixable thing. It is a real fixable thing. So in a deeper league, I wouldn't say in one of your smaller leagues where there's a bigger pool of players to pick up from to go and grab him just yet. But if you have the availability on your bench, I'd definitely put him on there. Do you know, that spot where you're just going to drop him regardless?
Yeah, I do have a few teams with him. He was one of my few highlights that I had this week. But I do think it could be time, because next week is a fob if you're going to get it. But, Dr. Pez, this week was the week that the rookie wide receivers decided to show up and say, here we are.
1 second. Johnny, just leave this on the screen for a second. Before we move on, I want to just mention JSN.
Yes. Go ahead.
Because his game was very impressive. And last week, I noticed it at the start of last week's game as well, and I can say this because I watch every Seahawks game unless it's during the night and I'm asleep. But last week they started the game against Denver, and he was getting a lot of attention. But then the offense just really struggled in the first half, and it went away. 1 second. And then they went away from that plan. This week they picked that plan straight back up. And then you look at what he did. Was it 12 targets? I'll just quickly get it up now. 12 targets for 117 yards. And I think I saw a stat where it was something like he's only the third wide receiver in the last 10 years to... I butcher that stat, so I'm not going to bother saying it. It's just a really impressive performance from him. And if we can start seeing more of this, and you're starting to see like Tyler Lockett's a lot older, but he is the pure safety man.
Right.
Like when we needed him in the fourth quarter, when the game was on the line, when we're driving down to get that field goal to tie it up, Tyler Lockett was his man, safety. But he's old now, gets banged up quite regular. Like he's probably comfortable just playing that wide receiver 3, use me when you need me role. Whereas if DK and JSN can start doing this stuff with Ryan Grubb, like he did at Washington, like if anyone's got JSN, then I'd look at that and be like, that could be a consistent thing you could see because he looked very impressive.
Yeah, you know, the Seahawks look good in the passing game. Geno, amazing how his career has turned around. You know, it just goes to show you can't give up on a quarterback if they have talent. DK, everyone has written him off as a true wide receiver 1, I think, and he balled out as well.
Yeah.
And then, you know, the Seahawks offense has been retooled. And you got to think if they can replace Geno in the next year or two with a good young quarterback, that offense could be dominant for years.
Yeah. Especially with the weapons, yeah. We just need to keep Ken healthy. The same thing, like obviously talking fantasy, he's an amazing player, but the same thing keeps happening, the same trends. This was the first year in preseason he hadn't picked up an injury, but then in week 1 he picked up. I swear he picked the oblique up last year as well. What kept him out for kept him down for many a game. We just need to figure him out. Like stop these little niggling things from happening that slows his year down. Because the one thing that really sucked last night was our run game. I just don't know if Zach Charbonnet can. Is either the Patriots' run defense is really good, or Zach Charbonnet just can't handle the, RB1 role in a team.
Right.
So
yeah, Charbonnet has been a disappointment for a second round. Definitely.
I wouldn't say a disappointment because he's not really had the opportunity to show what he can truly do. Like I think he got a touchdown. He's had a touchdown back-to-back weeks. It's just his work looks more impressive in the passing game.
Okay.
Wheel routes and him getting out into the flat and then going. He doesn't seem to have that. Here's the ball, now burst through the line. Yeah.
He's not a bell cow. He's the gadget.
He's shown he can do it. He's just, at the moment, it's just not clicking for him. But we'll see. He's probably going to have another game under his belt where he can try and prove his worth.
Yeah. Hopefully Ken Walker stays healthy, but if not, I'm excited to see what Charbonnet could do. Also had him on a few teams. So let's get to the rookies here. And Dr. Pez, before we talk about the rookies that stood out, I would like to talk about one that hasn't, or maybe a couple that really hasn't. Keon Coleman that we talked about, and Troy Franklin that we discussed. Neither of those players have really shined or done anything to stand out. Do you expect this to continue, or do you think as the season goes on, we can expect more out of these guys?
I'm not. After watching Keon Coleman's usage in the first game, I was very shocked. With him just chucking up a dud the second game. So I wouldn't write Keon Coleman off yet because he got 5 targets in the first game. He's still like wide receivers tend to come on at the halfway point of the season.
Right.
And Troy Franklin, I wasn't like at first. We spoke about it on the show, like Bo Nix's guy. Bo Nix's guy.
Have instant
Like there's a
chemistry.
connection there. I think that might start coming into it because Bo Nix has looked terrible the first 2 weeks, in my opinion, throwing the football. But it's Sean Payton, he's very stubborn, and it's like, you're going to do what I want you to do.
Right.
And I think inevitably that's why he went for a player like Bo Nix, because Bo Nix is probably just going to do the, yes, sir, I'll do what you want me to. You know, that type of mentality compared to some of these other quarterbacks who came in the league.
Right.
But Troy Franklin was always on the depth chart. He was always like wide receiver 4 or 5 anyway. So I tempered my expectation. So with him, he's a halfway through the year. Let's see what he can do the back end of the year type guy. Because if Bo Nix can't get it started, then Troy Franklin's a nobody, essentially.
Right. So we transitioned from wide receivers that haven't yet put their stamp on a game to some rookie wide receivers. In particular, you can see Johnny must be smiling ear to ear. Malik Neighbors, 18 targets. Wow, that's amazing. 10 receptions, 127 yards TD. Marvin Harrison with only 4 catches and had 130 yards with 2 touchdowns. Jaden Daniels balled out. He looked like a savvy veteran for most of that game. And then even Brian Thomas Jr. with only 2 receptions, almost 100 yards. What do you take from this? Any guys stand out in particular? Any trends going to start? What should we take from these rookies in their week?
Malik Neighbors, like, very, very impressive. He got the targets in week 1, but we all saw, especially Johnny, saw what happened to the Giants in week 1. It was really, like, if I was a Giants fan, I'd be pleased because they lost the game, didn't they? They lost the game by a field goal.
Yep.
But, here he is.
Yeah, they lost the game. They lost the game by a field goal. They lost their kicker in the kickoff, so they had to keep him going for
right?
Yeah, in the kickoff return, the punter tried to take the first extra point and missed. The next time they tried to go for 2 pointers, a crucial. He had an unlucky bad drop at the end when it was on 4th down because he had to go for it because he had no kicker, which would have got us a first down closer to the end zone. You know, so like I say, they're moaning about Tucker missing a kicker. We didn't have a bloody kicker, but then that's Dayball for not having one as backer. But no, he looked good, and he was open a couple of other times that Jones didn't throw to him that he would have got at least another 10, 15 yards, running across the front. But
the Giants are the first team to score 3 touchdowns and not allow a touchdown to lose. That's got to sting.
Well, like I say, if we had a kicker, we wouldn't have lost.
The thing is with the whole Giant situation there is, like Johnny said, it's situational. Like, people who only play fantasy, they'd be like, typical Giants, the shit. But realistically, you miss your kicker, it takes a massive element out of your game to neutralise the other team. I'd only, after how your season started, I'd only take a positive out of it, because if you saw what the Vikings defense did to Brock Purdy and the Niners, you've then got to kind of look at it and go, has everyone just slept on the Vikings defense? Like with Flores, has Flores actually got something going with that team? Because you saw what the Niners did to the Jets, and then they go into the Vikings and stink the gaff out. Like, if I was a Giants fan, especially with knowing what you've got. At the end of the day, don't be deluded. You've got Daniel Jones. He sucks.
They can
So
still make the
to
playoffs,
see,
man. The NFC East has not looked considerably sharp.
but
It would be quite funny if the
really,
Eagles
you
lost
don't
tonight.
want to make. You don't want to make the playoffs. You don't want to make.
You,
Yeah,
No,
you
you
want
don't
to
want to make the
lose the
playoffs
game
because
on the 10th of November to the Panthers to try and get the number 1 pick.
well, Brian
Yeah.
Duvall wants to make the playoffs. Otherwise, he will not be back next year.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
I don't
well,
think
that's
he's a
it
great.
goes.
I don't think he's a great head coach anyway. So you can bin him off. But in fantasy terms, it's great. You've got elite neighbours. All the concerns of week one is, oh my god, Daniel Jones sucks ass. We're not going to get them points. Then you see, it doesn't matter. As like that's the great thing about fantasy. You don't need to win. Look what neighbours did. Like as long as Daniel Jones does that, neighbours is that good of a wide receiver. He can elevate Daniel Jones as weirdly as it says, because it's like everyone says Tyreek Hill elevates Tua, because how many times did Tua underthrow Tyreek, and Tyreek is just quick enough to come back, get the ball anyway, and then make magic happen. Neighbours has the ability as a receiver to do that stuff, to get an absolute stinky pass and then add extra 20 yards onto it. Like, so if I was a Neighbours manager, especially draft him as high as you drafted him, I'd be very impressed with that.
Oh, yeah.
I'll move on to Marvin Harris.
Raiders is looking good, man.
The
I'll
other
move
one
on to
that's
Marvin
killed
Harrison.
me in many games. Yeah.
Marvin Harrison, everyone who doesn't understand, who doesn't watch college football essentially, and only really watches the NFL, or doesn't really watch the NFL and only plays fantasy in them three categories, is if you never really watch college football and understand what this guy can do, in 2 plays, you saw exactly what he can do.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, but
that is...
how he was so alone on the around the touchline was just crazy.
Because
no
the thing is, was it the first or the second touchdown? I watched it from the line, and it's just vintage Marvin Harrison. He's going to get multiple more of them now. Like the week one was on Kyler. Listen to what Kyler said. Like, oh, I'm not the person to get him the ball. All this nonsense. Like, basically, you're the quarterback. You choose to throw to him or you don't throw to him. You're short and you just didn't see him open. Just be honest. Just say, I'm a short ass. There's a lot of big, tall people in front of me. I can't see to my right-hand corner because there's a load of 6-foot mountains in front of me. I apologise. But then look, like, clearly they had a thing to target Marvin Harrison, like, early and often.
Yeah, 8 targets is a good number. You know, you can do a lot of damage with 8 targets. And he had 130 yards. I mean, that's what, 20 yards?
Was it? Was it like 130 yards in the first? He had that by half time. I'm pretty sure. Pez.
That's pretty dominant numbers. And then Jaden Daniels did everything but score a touchdown. He did have 4.5 yards a carry and a great completion percentage. Pez, take anything away from there, or Johnny? Do you have any comments?
There was a few times. A few times he got caught behind the line, but he's so strong. He was just brushing players off him, like they were just running through them.
That's what I noticed in week one, because my mate was saying, because I've got him in my home league, and week one was amazing. He was like, "Oh yeah, that's what you're hoping for." He's like, "Yeah, but are you not worried because he's so thin?" But again, that's a comment of someone who doesn't watch college football. Like, he might be quote unquote thin to do all this running around and getting hit, but he's done it his whole college career. Like, and he takes big hits. He goes into contact. Like, he's not afraid to do it. And I don't think he's picked up that many injuries from having that play style. Like, I'm. Do you know what? I'm very impressed with him. As
I was.
the rookie quarterbacks coming out, and I know, like, after a couple of weeks, halfway through a quarter way through, we can start like proper looking into the rookies and their positions and seeing how they're getting on. But he's the one standing out for me right now. 23 or 29. He's rushing. He's very measured and very safe, and he protects the football. He doesn't really do much. In the week one, he did some really weird shit, but I just put that down to nerves. This game, like you said, I had him in my team, so I would have liked a couple of rushing touchdowns or passing touchdowns, but like it's like Kelly said, without the touchdowns, it is a really nice performance from him. Like moving forward, if he's stacking these, compare him to Caleb Williams.
Oh, he's a mess.
Compare him to Caleb Williams. He is having one of the most humbling experiences as a rookie quarterback. My mate sent me a stat. Caleb Williams is 3.0 net yards per attempt is the worst of any quarterback in weeks 1 and 2 for the last 10 years. And he's meant to be the prodigal child.
Well,
so he's worse than
obviously
quarterback for the Bears.
He's worse than Zach Wilson.
Oh boy, that's bad.
But the one thing, do you know, this might be the best thing that happened to him, because the one thing everyone says about him is he's arrogant. He's so cocksure of himself. And how many times do people say that you get humbled real quick? He's got the talent. Everyone's seen the talent. This humbling start to his NFL career might be the best thing that ever happened to him. Because if he has got an ego and he has got this cockiness in himself that he is the best thing that walks the earth, he's going to lose that really quickly because he's not having a good start.
The best thing that could have happened is for the Bears to assign Ryan Tannehill, sit Caleb Williams for a year, and let him play next year. And let him learn rookie year. The Chiefs, I tell you, they did it spot on with Mahomes. And you can see that Green Bay has done it twice now with Love and Rodgers. It works. It's effective.
I just chuck out there that maybe it wasn't Justin Fields. Maybe Justin Fields wasn't the problem. Because I don't like Eberflus. I don't think he's a good head coach. He's a head coach that wants you to play his system and doesn't build a system around you. Like we talked about the Seahawks before, and Geno, his second half, his whole performance. Like the Patriots defense, they are just the Patriots defense. They're a really good, well-drilled defense. And Geno didn't throw a pick. And that second half, mate, he was slinging that thing. Well, not the fourth quarter to get us into fifth. He was slinging it. And normally when Geno slings it open and free like that, a pick's coming. And he was pinpoint accurate. And that's because Brian Grubb in the offseason said, I'm building an offense that suits Geno Smith. And then you can compare it to the Bears with two quarterbacks. Now, obviously, it's week 2, so we're getting a bit carried away. Yeah. But you compare it, and it's like that's a team saying you need to play the way we want you to play, not the way you're comfortable with playing. That's what it seems right now.
That's right. Well, we had a lot of surprises this week, and I'm sure none other than our Thursday night football picks. So I'm hoping that this week our Thursday night football picks will be a little bit better.
Johnny, before you move on, it'll be rude to Thingy. I should have messaged this. I've had like an ill household all weekend. Brock Bowers should 100% be on this list 2 weeks now, because anyone watches college football who went and got Brock Bowers early and was hyped about him, like that guy's going to be a wrecking train. Like he carries on going the way he's going, and no tight end will be anywhere near him by the end of the year. All he needs to start doing is getting the touchdowns. And if Brock Bowers is still there on your waiver wire, I'd spend
There's no
all
way
the
he's-
fab to go and get him.
Yeah, there's no. He's
Because
gone in every league, man.
no way.
He's gone.
There's no way.
The no way is, and if you're playing Brock Bowers next week, for anyone who's listening, just a little note: they're playing the Panthers, so it's not going to be fun. Brock Bowers, they're playing the Panthers, and if there's a week he's going to get his first touchdown in the NFL, he got 18.8 points last night, without it, but probably more actually, especially in OrkneyBowl scoring, because I know my mate has him, and he's just raving about him all night with the extra half point. Like, he must have been 20 odd points. I don't know if my phone will be quick enough to get it up. 1 second.
How many points did Bowers have?
I'm just about to let you know now. 30. 30 in OrkneyBowl scoring. He didn't score a touchdown.
He had 19 and a half the week before. So
Could you imagine when he starts scoring touchdowns? Like, he's literally playing like they played him at Georgia. Like, he is going to be a horrendous weapon in all platforms of fantasy. Like, I really think at the moment, the way he's going, and with Minshew still being able to distribute the ball the way he's doing it, like, he's looking like he's going to be the Titan 1 this year. I don't think there's going to be a Titan who gets close to him. Bullish is saying after 2 weeks, it's a bold prediction, but the way he's been these first 2 weeks, he's literally playing like how they played him at Georgia, and he was an absolute monster.
Done nothing.
No one could stop him.
The Porter's done nothing. Ingram's out. So he's going to get a good chance to build up a lead because the other ones are
tough year
doing
on
nothing.
tight ends, or at least the marquee tight ends.
God,
It's
you're
been
right.
a tough year. Andrews hasn't done anything. Pitt
He got a couple of
12
passes
points
yesterday. So.
It's been an
Well, we'll
interesting
see.
year.
We'll see what Pitts can do tonight. Can he get another touchdown?
Quarterback production has been low this year, even. TDs are way down, yards are way down from previous years. It's been a really odd year so far. So
Yeah.
Defenses are better prepared this year. Usually the defenses take a while to kick in, but a lot of defenses are playing not bad.
yeah, the
Plus
starters are not
injuries are helping
playing,
too.
so that week 1 is like their preseason still.